Hey everyone, Irene here. I want to read a testimony. So often you guys ask me about pain and if the work that I teach through my courses, etc., will help with physical pain. And the answer is absolutely yes. Of course, it depends on what is going on. But I've seen and heard stories from so many of my students who have experienced massive pain relief from obviously going from a 10 out of 10 to a 0 out of a 10, 8 out of 10, 5 out of 10. So it depends on the person, what's going on. But we just got this great write-up from one of our 21-day nervous system tune-up students. With permission, I'm going to share this. Just her first name is Angela. And it's a nice little paragraph. So I'm going to read it, because it really goes to the core of how this work isn't just about emotional regulation. It is. And it isn't just about being more regulated and more resilient. It is. It also can help and often does help with pain. I originally got into the somatic work that we know as Feldenkrais, the Feldenkrais method. I call it Feldenkraisian learning because of pain. I was in a lot of pain in my mid-20s, and it was the only thing that helped. And Feldenkrais, the way of learning about your body and moving your body with more awareness and rewiring patterns in the body movement, this is a big part of what I teach in my online classes and courses. So this is from Angela, 21-day nervous system tune-up student. So she writes, I had been experiencing a bad tension headache and lower back pain for days. It would come and go, and I knew it was to do with my nervous system. I tried hot baths, walking, pain relief, and lots of other ways to get rid of the pain. I did this mini balance your back exercise. So that's one of the Feldenkrais lessons in the 21 days. And wow, it was quite painful. She's honest. It was quite painful, almost pinching down my right side of my spine. But an hour after, I noticed I felt lighter and pain-free. Free is written in all caps, exclamation mark. I did notice a little muscle tenderness the next day, but I think it was just waking up and letting go of the tightness. And she's probably right here. I have done this exercise a few times since, and I really want to thank you, Irene, for your guidance. You're welcome. I will be incorporating this into my daily life. Awesome. These are exercises that you don't just do once and then that's it. You continue to do them, because as we do more of these, the learning, the rewiring, the capacity gets bigger, and then this is what creates greater regulation and flow in the body. Not just in the nervous system, but in the spine, in the joints, etc. She then writes, I have suffered for years with back pain. I was diagnosed with osteoarthritis in my lower spine and have suffered headaches most of my life. I had an AVM, so this is short for arteriovenous malformation. Just as a quick aside, this is something that can occur where the capillaries don't do what they're supposed to do, and then there's problems with the circulation. So I had an AVM which required gamma knife radiosurgery. I just resigned myself to thinking I would have to suffer with these pains. I have been sharing and telling others about the fabulous 21-day nervous system tune-up. It's helped me really bring awareness to myself. I keep revisiting several of the modules. I have found the mini balance back exercise is working well for me. Heartfelt thanks. I've never experienced pain relief like this before. So again, this is from Angela, student in our 21-day nervous system tune-up, shared with permission. And this is really what we want. We want ways to experience less pain in our body, if anything, being free of pain in a way that is not only via medication, only through brute force, Now, of course, there's a time and a place for these things. Manual physical therapy, fascial work, all this stuff has a time and place. However, so many of our students have lived lives, decades, with chronic physical, usually it is myofascial pain, but in this person's case, osteoarthritis is a physical malformation. There's actual grating and grinding of bone on bone. Typically, things can form in joint spaces. They're called osteophytes, and this creates troubles with glide in the joint. I have osteoarthritis myself in both of my knees. However, I walk pain-free and I'm pretty darn functional. So just know that because a label, or in this case osteoarthritis, is given to you by, say, a doctor, this does not mean that you have to follow what they say is going to be the issues into your life, into older life. So much of our capacity to move and function into older life is a result of how we work with our body, how we stay open and curious to ourselves and our capacity to heal. And this is a great story of that. So if this kind of, let's say, if this kind of use, like if you thought, oh, I thought your work was just about emotions or releasing trauma, yes, that's a big part of it. And sometimes we can have back pain with no osteoarthritis, right? We can have significant myofascial pain and nothing shows up on the X-ray scan, the CT scan, the MRI scan. And then, yes, there can be definitely an emotional, stored, traumatic imprint in the body causing pain in an area or in an entire part of, our entire lower quadrant, upper quadrant, or the entire system. This is what chronic pain might be. And I should say, this work also works at the level of the joint. My sense is, in reading her story, she hadn't taught herself how to find different movement patterns. And so in this mini balance your back exercise, this is a classic Feldenkraisian lesson where the flexors of the body, so the front muscles of the body, I'm really oversimplifying this, but for the sake of this quick video, where the flexors of the body, the ones that make us smaller, right? And the ones that extend the body, so that make us longer and open that way, I teach you in this lesson how to balance those. What we tend to have happen in our system, whether it is stored trauma or an injury that is physical, is the forward muscles, the flexors and the extensors, either are stuck in one or the other, or they're competing with each other. So if we are living in a deep fear response, which so many people are, this would be the classic fight, flight, but also freeze and perhaps shut down and collapse, there can be this forward posture, this collapsing of the spine. But there can also be the opposite of that, hypervigilance, overextension, where the back muscles are really straining and that the front don't know how to properly move. And we want to have both, not only front and back, but side to side, rotation, side bending. We want all this movement to be possible within not only our skeleton system, but in how we think. This is like the secret, I would say, if we want to call it the secret bullet or weapon, to how I mold in Feldenkrais into the lessons in, say, the 21-day nervous system tune-up, in my drop-in classes, and in Smart Body, Smart Mind, is we're reteaching you how to think and sense and then act with your body as the primary canvas. And so in this case, with our student here, Angela, she sat down and she did this lesson, which we do lying on our back, and went through the movements and the motions, and knowing the lesson the way I do, she most likely, when she felt the pain and the pinching My guess is this was a part of her body that had been probably clamped down so tight for so long, and by balancing these flexors and extensors in the different orientations, and bear in mind, when a person gets to that lesson in the 21-day tune-up, they have already done previous lessons to teach them about orienting, following impulse, finding potent posture. They've learned a lot of theory around the nervous system, how it works. So she was probably already catching herself going into survival mode more than normal going into this lesson. So she had all these things layered up and stacked up in a really nice way. And she lies down, she does this lesson, and there's just more information for her to draw upon. Then does this it's a very symmetrical lesson, going left and right, doing different things with the legs and the head and the eyes, all these things. And it was able to open up not just her awareness and her capacity to explore, but it also opened up the joint spaces. This is my hunch. It opened up the hip, the space in the hip, the space in the knees, the ankles, the ribs, the sternum, the clavicles, allowed the head to set in a different place. And so there was this nice distribution of effort from head to toe and toe to head and all the in-betweens. And then, because she's doing it slowly, because I teach slow and controlled, there's no effort, there's no sweating. I'm always reminding the person, are you breathing? Pause, stop, orient, reorient. So there's no survival tendencies going into this. It serves as a beautiful way to just realign not only the spine, but how we think, how we bring awareness to ourselves, and most importantly, how we bring awareness to ourselves in relationship to the environment. And that is the beauty of the Feldenkraisian learning method or model, is we're not just thinking about ourselves. We're thinking and feeling our connection with the ground and the environment, and you need that. Everybody's talking about the mind-body connection, the body-mind connection, absolutely important, but we need to tack on one more piece, and that is the environment. Mind, body, or body, mind, environment. And when we have these things in place, we can really start to rewire. And really, at the essence of this work, it's learning how to learn again. That's what I'm teaching. So wanted to share that. I'm not going to get to any questions today. I just wanted to pop this little lovely nugget in, share this story of healing from significant pain. Hey, thanks for watching that. I love stories like Angela's. I hear them all the time, and I want that for you. So if you are someone who is living with some form of pain, chronic illness, even emotional pain, mental strife, we have seen and heard so many stories of healing when people go through my 21-day nervous system tune-up course. This is an online course. We have our annual cyber sale, Black Friday sale. It is for 4 days, the 28th, 29th, and 30th of November and December 1st, $100 off, regular price of $297. We'll post the things near here so you can click over and learn about this course and its power and what it can teach you. So far, we've had 18,000 people go through this course from over 120 countries. We've been running this for many years. I do consider it, in some ways, the gold standard for online courses in healing the nervous system. It's been tried and tested for a long, long time. So if you want to join me and have your own healing story like Angela's, somewhere near here, click over, learn, save the date, and we'll see you on the other side.